All right. Eric, hey, how you doing?
Doing great.
Great. So this is just a short introduction, and then I'll let him do his own introduction. But this is Eric Buehrer. Eric works for an organization called Gateways to a Better Education. Gateways to Better Education. I was turned on to Gateways to a Better Education when I saw that they do a lot to help teachers understand their religious rights in the classroom. Um, I don't know if Eric is a lawyer, but um, that was how I was introduced to Gateways. There's a ton of resources. I think it's a great organization. And so we're looking to do a teacher seminar within the next 6 months, closer to around the Easter time, just to help teachers understand what their actual religious rights are. So that's a little bit what I have. Eric, I'm going to give it up to you. You go right ahead and.
All right. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was a former public school teacher, not a lawyer. Was a teacher, just concerned about what I saw happening in our culture, in my own profession, high school history, and just began praying, Lord, what do you want me to do about that? My wife and I founded Gateways to Better Education in 1991. And with the idea that our name actually describes the people we serve. It's the educators, the parents, the administrators, school board members. They are the gateways to better education. Even students can be the gateway to better education. What we want to do is the public schools are filled with Christians, but they don't know what they can do to promote religious freedom, to express their faith, what they actually do in the classroom to teach about the Bible and Christianity as it relates to their topics. And so we equip them with how to do that. Maybe a shorthand way of saying what we do is we're like an apologetics ministry focused on public schools, making the case for religious freedom, the Bible and Christianity in a public school environment. And so we have a half-day seminar that we do for educators called Faith, Freedom, and Public Schools. And the subtitle is Addressing the Bible and Christianity Without Mixing Church and State. And it's the first 2 hours are what we call confidence builders. It really builds the confidence of the teachers that what they're doing is legal. We go through what the law really says, but we also give practical application to that. It's like, how do you have a conversation with a parent who might be wondering, well, why are you mentioning Jesus in your class? Or with a supervisor or a colleague. So it's how do you have those conversations? We call it relational activism. I think in today's culture, you see a lot of political action regarding schools, and that's necessary oftentimes. You see a lot of legal action, and we, of course, are appreciative of legal organizations that go to our defense. But what we call it is relational activism. How do you use the relationships God's already given you to have an impact on lives? And so that first half is what the law says. We go through your academic standards. One of our team members, all she does is research every state's academic standards focused on where the Bible and Christianity can intersect. And so we customize the presentation for Maryland teachers to say, here's what your state laws and state academic standards actually say about this, because so often they don't realize all they can do. And then we give them the confidence builders. Then in the second half, we go into practical application strategies. And that's where we go across the curriculum and up and down the grade levels. And we talk about how does a biblical worldview intersect with an academic topic? Because we find a lot of Christian teachers, as I say, they lead with their Christian hearts, but not their Christian heads. And so they'll do
I like that.
things that get them in trouble. And if they would just stick to more of an academic approach, they could do a lot more and do it without getting in trouble. And so we help them think that through and how to do that. And we help them then with how to promote students' religious freedoms. The U.S. Department of Education, in 2020, I was influential in getting the U.S. Department of Education to update its guidance on students' religious freedoms. And it'd been around since 1995, but it hadn't been updated in a long time. We appealed to the Department of Ed to do that, gave them all kinds of recommendations. They took those recommendations and then reissued it. And I got invited back to the Oval Office for the release of the guidance, and it was a lot of fun. But what we do is we've incorporated that into our training so that teachers understand here's what the federal government says regarding students and teachers' religious freedoms, so they can create a much more faith welcoming environment in their classroom. Then we go into how to address holidays, how to promote character in your students. So it's really both giving them the confidence and then the practical application. They come away with really strong, very practical strategies they can use from going forward.
That's outstanding. That is super comprehensive. That's a ton of information. How much time does it usually take to go through all of that in a seminar setting or in a
It's about 4 hours. Typically what we'll do is on a Saturday morning, we'll start at 9 o'clock, say doors open at 8:30. We encourage the hosts to have some kind of, snacks, coffee, muffins, that sort of thing. And then we start at 9 o'clock and goes till about 12:30. We take a few breaks in between. So they're out by 12:30.
Got it. Okay. Are there neutral locations, church locations? Have you found that one is better when inviting teachers or Christians or non-Christians or?
Yeah, good question. We've seen it hosted in a number of different places. Obviously, churches will host it. But when we've got a group of churches working together, it's a good idea to have it in a neutral site. We've seen that done. We've had one community hosted it at a university. Another we saw hosted it at a public school auditorium. And so that makes it easy for churches to buy in because they're not promoting some other church. We know there's issues of turf wars. And so everybody can be a part of it. It also, if it is hosted by a school auditorium that the local community is renting for that, in the brochures or materials online, we put a little disclaimer that says this is not being endorsed by the Howard County public school system, nor is it being funded by it. This is just for community outreach, that sort of thing. And what'll happen is, I sent you an email, by the way, of a 3-minute video that we've produced of teachers giving testimonies about how it impacted them.
I need to check that. It may not have gone to my direct email.
Yeah, and that's all right. I would encourage you to watch that video because these teachers.
I can share. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You want to share it now?
I'm going to share it when we get off the call. I'm going to share that.
Okay, sure.
As I share it with the churches.
Yeah, I sent you a link. It goes through, here's the agenda for the day, and then here's a video of teachers giving a testimony. It's just 3 minutes. But actually, a teacher started crying in the middle of it because we call it moving from fear to freedom. All of a sudden, she's not afraid anymore. It's just that teachers don't know all the things they can do. And once they know it, it really impacts them. And it creates it breaks up that hard soil in a public school environment for what you're trying to do with students' lives in encouraging them to come to know Christ and also to live their faith out on campus. It really helps to have the teachers who know how to make that happen. Yeah,
absolutely. That's awesome. So you said neutral location generally tends to be better with a group of churches coming together.
Yeah.
It's a 4-hour commitment.
Yeah.
Is this interactive? So do teachers need to sit with each other, or can they be, everybody is face forward? Like,
we've done it both ways. And when it's in an auditorium where they're all just facing forward, then we just say, hey, talk to your neighbor or talk to the person behind you or in front of you. We do these breakouts where they'll have conversations. If they're sitting at tables, that obviously works well because they can then have conversations. So yeah, we'll have discussion questions. We find that teachers really like being able to connect, and have that shared moment where they're talking about their frustrations or their fears and then what they've learned and how the confidence they'll have. And that's a lot of fun to see them make those kind of connections.
Okay. And then last question, the total, just looking at total amount to fund something like this, from what are we looking at?
Yeah, we charge a flat rate of $5,000. That covers airfare, lodging, transportation, speakers fees, all the rest. And by the way, that doesn't go to me personally. That I get paid a salary by the ministry, so it's not like I'm promoting this to make more money. And then we recommend, if you have a number of churches involved, to have them help fund it.
Okay.
For instance, if you had 5 churches and they all said, look, we see this as part of our Jerusalem mission, local mission,
Yep.
then we're going to put that in our mission budget. So you have, $1,000 per church. And then we recommend that you charge teachers a nominal fee, maybe $20 for the day, because we find if they don't have some skin in the game, they wake up on Saturday and they go, yeah, I'm too tired, I'm not going to go. But if they paid and they got confirmation, hey, we're reserving a seat for you,
right,
okay, I'll go. And then you could use that as a funds for FCA. I mean, that doesn't come back to us. That would be for you. So that's how we recommend doing it. Another thing I wanted to tell you about that you could even do between now and then, if you're interested. We have these pamphlets called Free to Speak.
Okay.
Did I share this with you before? I can't remember. Okay, let me give you a simple strategy, even leading up to if we did something, say, in early spring. This is from the U.S. Department of Education, the work that we did to get the Department of Ed, here it is, to update its guidance. This is not our opinion. These are simply quotes from the U.S. Department of Education on what students' and teachers' religious freedoms are. And it's designed to be, simple. You can fit it in a purse, a backpack, a pocket. And so we're encouraging, they come in packs of 50. You get a pack of these or more, and you use through your FCA groups, your huddles, you give 10 to a student and say, hey, give these to your friends or give them to your teachers.
Sure.
And it's really empowering to say, here's what my religious freedoms are according to the U.S. Department of Education. And then also we have, I don't know if you can see it here, but we have collaborated with Alliance Defending Freedom.
Yeah.
Familiar with ADF.
Absolutely.
And they've donated their time so that for every pack of 50 that somebody orders, you can give us the name of a school official and the name and address. We send that on to ADF. They will send a 6-page personalized letter to that school official explaining students' religious freedoms. They come from a legal angle, so they talk about case law. So this becomes kind of the boots on the ground of getting students to give this to their classmates and to their teachers, just to get the information out there. Because my experience is most teachers have no idea this even exists.
Yeah, you're right about that, man.
Yeah, they don't know. And so this really awakens them. And especially, Christian teachers or faith-friendly teachers, they're going to say, wow, this is great to know.
Sure.
But then, so that's the boots on the ground. And then the airstrike comes in with ADF sending a letter. And it doesn't call out you guys and say, FCA asked us to send you this letter. It just says, in a very neutral way, it says, at this time of year, there are oftentimes questions regarding students and teachers' religious freedoms. We'd like to go through a Q&A letter here and explain to you what teachers' rights are, what students' rights are, so that you understand it. And so if you had these going out, like I said, for every pack of 50,
yeah, I'm gonna
be the name of a school. It can go out to all your high school principals, assistant principals, superintendent, board members. It's a great way to spread the word.
Yeah, I don't know how I would get my hands on those, if that's a purchase or whatever, but
yeah.
I'm gonna get those. So.
Yeah, it's not a big money maker for us. It's like $8 for 50 of them, and that's including the shipping. So yeah. We just want to get the word out.
Okay. Where are you guys located?
We're based in Southern California, but we work all over the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are moving all throughout the country. So last question, is there like a real win for gateways to education that you've experienced recently? Something that's really, you're positive about it. It's not even more than positive about it. You've just seen a win. I'm a sports guy. I got wins and losses, man.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, a big win that we've just had is we have a program, and we haven't on this video really gotten into it. It's called the Respect Project, but we're working with superintendents who are faith-friendly. So, as I like to say, it's easier to share the gospel with somebody who wants to hear it versus trying to convince somebody they need to hear it. We're finding there are Christian superintendents, again, going back to, there are Christians throughout the system. Well, there are superintendents who are believers as well, and they are looking for information to help them. So we have just the Marion County, Florida School District, which is 43,000 students, 6,000 staff. They've just adopted our Respect Project. Superintendent is going to require all teachers to go through our training on students' religious freedoms, so they all understand that students have this freedom to express themselves in class. And the value, we go through the research that shows that a student's religious faith is an academic and behavioral asset for the classroom. So why would you want to leave this asset out of the classroom?
Why would you leave it out of the classroom?
That's right.
Wow.
So they go through this training, and then they're going to do that. They're going to have all their middle school and high school teachers, social studies teachers, go through it by Constitution Week, which is Constitution Day is September 17th. And they're going to have all 43,000 students and teachers and their parents informed by the end of the calendar year.
Wow.
Then we're working with FCA in that community to say, hey, we want to work with you to help empower your students. And we've got a simple one-time lesson that we're encouraging FCA groups to do. We don't want to change your curriculum or anything, but there's one simple lesson we have called Think, Sync, Go. And here's what you do. And this could be a great asset for you, not only in your ministry, but also in your reaching your constituents and showing them what you're doing. Before you give the lesson, you give them a simple 8-question survey that we provide. Hey, in the last 30 days, have you done any of the following? Have you prayed or read your Bible at school? Have you shared Jesus with a friend? Have you included your faith in a homework assignment or in a class discussion? So that becomes your baseline. Then you do the one lesson, and it's think about how your faith relates to your learning in class. It's not just about Sunday or in your huddle. It's actually in your academics. So think about how your faith relates to what you're learning in class. Number 2, God is at work on your campus. So sync up with what he's doing. And now that you know what your religious freedoms are, because we show a little 3-minute video on their religious freedoms. Now that you know what those freedoms are, go live it out on campus. So then for the next 30 days, every week, you do that simple survey again, and you're looking for testimonies. Hey, in the last week, have any of you shared Jesus with a friend, prayed over your lunch, read your Bible, incorporated your faith in a homework assignment? And you ask every week, and then at the end of the 4 weeks, you get what you measure. So if you're actually encouraging students to do this, and then 2 students are talking about it and giving their testimonies about what they've done, it's a great way to say, hey, we've been able to move the needle from students doing a little to students doing a lot more. Yeah. So that's the one thing, and again, it's not a requirement, but we provide that at no cost for your groups to do, and that would be a great way for you to see some measurable results.
Yeah, that's a great resource, great metric. It is. I mean, it's sports. We're capturing data all the time. What are you measuring? And then how are you seeing if it's being effective? That's a great tool. Eric, thank you very much. I'm going to pause the video here in just a second, but this will be for my board members and potential churches that are willing to get involved. I hope that there are many that would choose to get involved. I love your organization and everything that you guys are doing. This won't be the last time. The first time that I actually looked you guys up was probably 4 years ago. Just when I saw some of the connections between the Alliance Defending Freedom. And so I love what you guys are doing, and I look forward to working with you guys. So it's been a pleasure. I'm going to hit stop record here in just a second, but just stay on. Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay. Now I got to find this stop record. All right, there it is. All right.